according to the church and the Christian faith, especially where it pertains to our wedding vows, it is until death do us part. In fact, I would say some scriptures don't say it in actual words, but it's practically that. You know, unless it's death, nothing will separate us. And this is why I think in a lot of Christian marriages, we just deal with it. We deal with the abuse and we deal with all of the things that affects us, because at the end of the day, death hasn't happened yet. But again, pertaining to my case, I wanted to actually lead you on to what could have been death doing us part in this particular part of the series. And honestly, it's a very scary one, and it's one that I would say is not comfortable for me to share this, but I'm going to do it anyway, for the love of you guys and for the love of the woman out there who is trapped and who are not even recognizing the signs of abuse, or don't even know where to start to letting themselves free, because perhaps scripture or the church has bound you into this marriage and you don't want to go against that. So let's get into some scriptures. Everybody, turn your Bibles to Matthew 5 verses 32, and let's look at the King James Version, our good old English king. Let's look at the King James Version. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her after that is divorced commits adultery. Let me not paraphrase it. Let me read that again. I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery. There's another scripture, Romans 7:2. Sister Esther, could you read? I'm taking a mic. Oh, you guys, come on, open the comment section. I want to see you lot pulling out the back. We are doing quotation today. I got the NIV version because I can't find a King James right now on the internet. I probably could, but I'm just... For example, by law, a married woman is bound to her husband as long as he is alive. But if her husband dies, she's released from the law that binds her to him. And you know, there's other scriptures to just kind of back up the claim of till death do us part. And so I think what that kind of in a way indirectly does say is you're owned by your husband. I'm not going to get into a religious debate today. Perhaps we can have that discussion later, because a lot of people are deconstructing Christianity for whatever reasons. People are just deconstructing all religions right now, especially the world religions that has unfortunately been miscommunicated. I don't know. People are seeing things in a different light, including myself. But I wanted to specifically talk about death doing us part, because I guess that's the only way, oh boy, was willing to let me go. Let's talk about it. This part of the story, as I said, is very, very hard for me to share. In fact, me even putting myself in a very vulnerable state and kind of reliving these tragic and traumatic events is difficult for me. But I know my purpose and what God has called me here to do on my platform, raising awareness to women who have been abused or are being abused in their homes, in their matrimonial homes, and not recognizing or ignoring the signs of something that can ultimately lead to her demise. So it was the year of 2020, and this is the year that the world stopped. Okay. At this point, I actually had left Christ Embassy, and everything about this ministry at this point just irritated me and made me cringe. I did not want to see a rhapsody of realities again. I did not want to hear a Pastor Chris. I didn't even want to listen to Sinach, and I love Sinach. And shout out to that star who finally got her awakening and left that ministry because God gave her that talent. Okay. And so I was, I guess, embracing my own spiritual awakening at this point, and everything that I ignored before I was noticing, and things were just becoming more evident in my eyes. And I was becoming more wiser from things that I saw at home, with him, with the church, etc., etc. Now, we were at the stage of being able to finally buy a property. We had put in an application for a property that didn't go according to plan, unfortunately. And the next time we were going to go for another house, which is the one we ended up buying ultimately, I was a good six-figure earner at this point. He also was earning a fairly decent income that combined was able to afford a mortgage. So I saved up every bit of penny for this down payment. I repeat, I, Chanel Boateng, saved up every penny. He continued to pay the rent, which, bear in mind, we were living in a council flat in London. So our rent wasn't really that expensive. It wasn't even about 500 quid a month. We were living a dream life. I don't even know why I'm still not there, but hey, what has happened has happened now, isn't it? But I put the full mortgage down payment down for the property, and following that, I paid all the mortgage. Yeah, hats off to me. I'm that girl. Come on, look at you, masculine energy. Anywho, also, so as you know, when you're applying for a mortgage, there's so many things that you have to bring forward, documents, your ID and stuff like that. And as for me, obviously I'm British citizen. For him, he didn't have a British citizenship, and so he had to get a visa. I paid the full fee for the visa, because I needed to speed up the process of this mortgage, because other than that, the sellers of the house wanted to sell the property to someone else, and I just needed to nail it in. So I was like, you know what, please pay me back for buying your visa. And to this day, I have not seen a penny. But let's continue. So as I said, documents have to come and stuff like that. And you know, up until this point, I had never seen his bank statements, or I've never seen any of his finances ever. The entire marriage. At this point, it was year 6 of the marriage. Every time I asked, like, of his accounts and stuff, I was declined, and it will end up an argument, so I'll just leave it. He never shared anything to do with that with me, ever. These are the things I want to advise us ladies who are in marriages that we need to be careful of. Did I not fight hard enough, or did I not know enough? Either way, I think I was quite naive, because if there's anything I should be aware of, especially where joint things are happening, I'm at least the one paying for everything, or the majority. I should at least know what's coming from your end, so I can understand why it's me that's fitting the bill for everything. But I was always declined that right from him, and anytime I questioned, it was always a debate or a fight, so I just let it go. Until he had no choice, because we were doing the mortgage application and they want to see 3 months of bank statements, etc. I saw on the statement of him, I saw in the statement coming from him that a lump sum was paid to Western Union. Oh yeah, a lump sum. And at this point, I had been slaving doing video after video, campaign after campaign, brand deal after brand deal, saving up all the money for this house deposit. And we're here sending lump sums via Western Union to where? Not this country. Oh, that's right, it's in Nigeria. You're sending that to Nigeria. And I'm like, wow, what the actual F, where is this going to? And so we have a horrible, thunderous dispute over it, obviously. My mom gets involved because I call her and I'm like, man, are you that? I call even his brother. I'm like, I can't believe this is what he's doing. What is going on? And then the final person I called was, I think it's Christ Embassy Luton, a pastor, because I knew that he looks up to him. He kept on talking about this big man, and yes, and I was like, okay. You know, I didn't actually include in my last video how much the Christ Embassy pastors themselves, they idolize each other and their looks and appearance. I understand you want to be inspired by, you know, people's looks and stuff. You might want to buy that bag that person has. I mean, we are all influenced in some way. But what disturbs me is when you come home and you tell me that you want to relax your hair like Pastor Chris. Are you serious? Oh, baby. You know, they all had their hair relaxed because that's how his hairstyle was. Let me tell you something. Any man with their hair and they have a perm, to me, I'm so sorry, is sus. It's giving fruity patootie. Because why on earth, as a bloke, are you relaxing your hair? Have you not even seen the natural hair movement that black women started on the internet? It's bizarre. I'm going off on a tangent, but what I'm trying to say is, yeah. One day he came home and he was like, I'm going to do my hair like Pastor Chris. I said, over my dead body. Tofiakwa, as you people say. Because how? So I spoke to this particular pastor and I said, this has happened. Do you know what he said to me? Sister, calm down. I know what is happening here. It's so simple. It's because you no longer attend the church. You're no longer in Christ Embassy. So what do you expect? You have to come back to the church. I said, a lump sum has gone to this place and I am here slaving to, and you're telling me it's happening like that because I'm not in the church anymore? And you know what else smacks it? This was around the time of Nicole Fear's passing. If you guys remember Nicole Fear, my beautiful baby sister, please do remind us in the comments. Nicole Fear passed away on 11th of July 2020. I'll never forget the date because I actually spoke to her the day before. And I believe it's to do with complications to do with her pregnancy. She and her child passed. So it was a few days after that, or at least within the week. And I had put her profile picture on my WhatsApp status. So when I called this pastor, do you know what he said? I can tell the type of person you are. I mean, look at you. You've got your whole stomach showing in your belly, on your profile picture. This man was judging me. Until I said, what are you talking about? Oh, I can tell you're one of those English girls. That's what he said, you know. And I said, wait a second. That is my baby sister and she has just died. And that was her pregnancy photo shoot. So what are you implying? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Yeah, Christ Embassy. Me say, sa church, you know, sa sorry, no. Oh my God, even the tree has to come because at this point, we are fed up. The people are fed up. Because how dare you? I'm mourning my sister's loss and you don't know who she is. You assume it's me and you judge me. The type of person I am. Anyway, let's continue. Anyway, we moved to our beautiful abode. Remember I did the house tour and boom, boom, boom. Every single thing, down to the fork in the kitchen. I remember me and my mum, we went to IKEA and I spent over £400 on even the kitchen stuff alone. Come to even the furniture, the beds, the vases. I even done a beautiful fireplace. Do you guys remember my old house? Top 5-star quality. I didn't ramp with that. You guys know I love my interior design. Loved it to bits. And every bit of that came from my energy and my hard work. And so it got to the point where I would walk around this house and say, you know what, I did that. I did this. This is mine. And so as day by day goes by, and I'm becoming more angrier and frustrated and exhausted, and the dynamics are getting severe, and we're arguing over the children's heads. Emmanuel gets distressed, AJ's shocked, and I'm just like, I cannot raise my children in this. This isn't healthy. This is not a healthy marriage. I want out. And there was this one night, it was a week actually, we were all in the house and my mom had stayed over for that week. And there was constant rows back and forth. And honestly, my mom obviously was sick of it. There was this one particular time that it was so severe. My mom said, I'm not going to sleep tonight. I am not going to sleep tonight because the way he looked at you, he could have killed you. There's something up. He wants to do something bad to you, Chanel. And she kept on begging me, Chanel, shut up. Because I won't lie, I was so angry that I could not even give respect. Because what is this? How am I in this? And when I'm asking you to just leave me alone, you don't want to go. At this point, I'm angry. Angry! That night, I was on the phone with my manager. It was about past 1 a.m. My mum was sat by the stairs. She didn't sleep the whole night. She said, what I saw him do to you, I don't want to go to sleep and wake up and see that my daughter's gone. And so I'm not sleeping tonight. And then the next day, the argument continued. I said I was on the phone with my manager at the time. She heard the entire argument. She didn't even want to get off the phone because I had told her what was happening and how physically threatening it was and how he was. And so everyone was just scared for me. And the next day, my mum was due to go back to London and she said, you are coming out of this house. If I have to drag you, not me, him, if I have to drag you back to London with me, I will have to do that then. Because there's no way I'm going to turn my back and hear that I have to bury my daughter next week because you have done something to her. So with every bit of convincing in the world, eventually he packed his bags and he went to London with my mum. And he stayed away from me for 6 months. And within that time, we were mediating, we were trying to do whatever. And he did eventually come back home. Whilst I thought that things would get better, it actually eventually again, at first it was like, okay, but nothing had changed. He hadn't changed and I obviously hadn't changed either. And so daily, it became such a hostile place to stay. It got to a point where I didn't even stay in my house. I hated being at home. This beautiful house I built, how much money I had been paying for it, how much I spent on it. I didn't even want to be in the house. And so I would spend nights in London with my mum. I would spend nights with London with my friends. He would accuse me of going to a man's or cheating. Whereas I'll blatantly say, it's not that. In fact, I would love to do that. If it means to get you out, if it means that Bible verse will get you out of my life, then let me do that. But rather, I'm finding peace and solitude in my mother's house or staying at friend's house. I don't want to be here. And you don't want to leave. I begged and begged and begged. I will send listings and I will say, here, go and rent somewhere because this isn't working. We had time apart. You've come back. It was cute for a little bit. It's gone back to what it is. It's chaotic. Nobody is happy. We have to end this. He didn't want to go. He did not want to leave. And then there was this one very scary night. And we were in the kitchen and we were rowing. And behind me was something. And whilst we were at each other's throats, his eyes looked at that something and then looked at me. I didn't even know what it was. I turned around and it was knives. Blood. It was knives. And I said, what the fuck are you looking at that for? Do you want to stab me? What are you looking at that for? I don't know how the argument ended. I believed I walked away because at that point I knew that I was in severe danger. But I now know that I'm really dealing with a mad person, so I just got to watch my back. Because you know what, up until that point, I didn't actually realize how severe it was, you know. I was like, my mum, you're being dramatic. What do you mean your daughter's going to die? I'm going to be fine. My manager was like, Chanel, I'm scared. People around me could see all of the signs, except for me. But all I knew is I wanted out because it just wasn't healthy. And it wasn't something that I wanted to stay in. He ignored me and ignored me and ignored me. You know when someone just deliberately goes silent and I'm begging and I'm saying, you've got to go. You've got to go. Why didn't I leave? Good question. You know, I never grew up with anything or much. I wouldn't say anything. My parents tried their best, but I didn't grow up with anything. I didn't grow up with much. All I know is everything I had worked hard up until that point is what I owned. The house, everything's in it. In fact, that was my workplace. This is where I created content. This is where I was doing those fashion hauls. You know, I'm like, oh, Chanel, we want fashion hauls back and stuff. I don't have a place to do fashion hauls. No, that was my place. And I didn't want to let go of that because this is how I'm continuing to make this money, right? And so begging him to go was kind of the option that I only knew. I should have left though. But let me continue because I just don't want to go off in a tangent here. So it was a Saturday and I remember it like yesterday because I was meant to go meet one of my girls for lunch in Ealing. So I woke up early. My hair, I had just washed it, so it was in an afro. And I was wearing I just remember this, what I was wearing, black jeans and a cream top. And I remember looking in the mirror that day and I was like, oh my gosh, I've lost so much weight. Because at this point, you're now noticing that my shrink I cry, you know, I'm a bit small, like I say, small collarbone and stuff. And feeling a bit proud of myself. Like I was still plumper, but you know, I had lost a little. And I remember before I left, I said, I've sent you those listings for the rent to go and rent somewhere. Have you found somewhere to go? Because I truly want you out of this house because we can't do this anymore. Of course, he continues to ignore me. I got so mad. I went to pick up a chunk of his clothes to pack it for him. Because I said, if you're not going to go, I'm going to pack your stuff for you and you're going to leave. So when I went into the room to grab his clothes, he grabbed it out of my hands and we were at the top of the stairs. And this was scary because if you remember how my landing was and then the central staircase, he was, and I was trying to fight back, scratching him up, ripped up his, you know, I was getting in my Hulls and Stonebridge kicks in you. Come on, girls. I was trying to. It's very hard when you're small and he's a big man. Then he took his phone and started to record me. And he said, I'm going to record you and put it on social media and it will destroy your career. Let me tell you something. Do you know he said that many times before? If I record you now and put, all your followers will see who you are. So I was threatened with that for a long time. But that day, he was actually recording me. And it was so heated that I was so angry. And I went to grab his phone. He wouldn't let me have the phone. Eventually, I managed to get the phone and I wanted to run out the house with the phone. He obviously chased me. And I found myself on the floor. I found myself on the floor by the playroom downstairs. And he had me in a headlock and he was strangling me. And guess what, you guys? AJ was standing right there and watching everything. I was so terrified. And all I could think is, I'm going to die in front of my child. All I could think is, I'm going to die in front of my child. But God done something so miraculous. Because I had pulled the door open slightly, do you know what he said to AJ? Go and shut the door. This was the front door. Go and shut the door. And my son just stood there. Love you to bits, AJ. You saved mummy. Because I was screaming and screaming and screaming. And bear in mind, this was a Saturday morning and I'm in the countryside. It's such a remote place. And all of a sudden, this white man with his dog appears at my doorstep. And he says, police, open up. And I jump up and I leap and I grab onto the man's arm and I run outside and he chases me and he's trying to grab me back. And the white man yells at him, let go of her, let go of her. Lo and behold, more police come. By the way, and this is what smacks it. You see that man, that white man, he was off duty. He was an off-duty police officer walking his dog. And he happened to hear my screams from miles away, follows the sound to my doorsteps and saves my bloody life. Off duty. Then the police van pulls up. They separate us. They pull me outside and they keep him and AJ in the doors. They keep him and my son indoors. I'm outside being interviewed by a police. The other police officer who was off duty. It's interesting how he came and he said, police open up type of thing. The door was practically open, but he was like, police open up. He obviously knows the procedure. So he's given his account. I'm giving my account. And another officer is in the house getting an account from him. All of a sudden, what do they say when they're arresting you? You may hide your defense, Bisous. You are under arrest under the something. They arrested me. I can't remember if I said anything at that point or I've just remained silent. But this man fabricated a whole ordeal that I attacked him. And look at all of my scratches. Look at what she's done to me. I never touched her. She was trying to steal my phone. He fabricated a whole thing. And I said, God, I'm in trouble. He pressed charges on me. He said that the house is his. And him and the child lived there and he's pushing me out. Everything. This man was trying to sabotage me. Now, I'm sure you guys are thinking, Chanel, you are saying a lot. Well, just continue to listen, because this is a big one. Not only did he try to take my life that day, he also got me arrested and made a fabrication to the police, lied and said that I attacked him and I was the aggressor. That's what they say. She was the aggressor. That she's an aggressive woman. She's the problem. And so they arrested me. I was in a cell after I had been beaten, and my body was so sore and I was so weak. My throat was even so sore from all the screaming. I was shaking like a leaf. And all I can think of is my baby is in the house with that madman who tried to take me out in front of him. So, you know, I think lawfully after, I think a certain amount of hours, the police have to release you. And if they find more evidence, then you can be charged. So I was released that night and I wasn't allowed to stay in the house. But the police escorted me back to the property to grab a few things. And that night at about 4 a.m., I drove. I had the biggest headache in the world. I hadn't eaten. I was in pain. I drove a 2-hour drive back to my mum's house with my belongings. I stayed at my mum's house. I couldn't even sleep. The next day was my niece's baby shower. I'm so sorry. This is not easy to actually recall, but yeah, my niece's baby shower. And I remember we had been planning it. I had some, inclusions in that in terms of games and whatnot. And I remember my sister had to just take over everything because I couldn't quite, I wasn't functioning. And I remember I had an email from the police saying that you're going to get a call soon to just show, if there's more evidence on his end, then we will have to charge you. And then something told me, Chanel, do you remember a few months ago you installed the Ring doorbell? Have you guys got your cup of teas or vodkas yet at this point? What are we drinking tonight, girls? I remembered that I had the Ring doorbell. And so what did I do? I went to the Ring doorbell app and I looked at the footage. You know the point where the white man came to my door and I leaped onto him? He was dragging and drapesing me up. And guess what? It was all on the Ring doorbell camera. Bingo. I sent it to the lawyer. They sent it to the police. Immediately, they had to release me from those charges that he was pressing against me. And they said, rather, you can press charges against him because there is evidence of him assaulting you. Hallelujah. That is what saved your girl, or I would have been inside. Whereas I was completely innocent. If anything, I was trying to defend myself from being killed in front of my child. So how did it end? Well, I was still very nervous about the fact that my son was there. But the Ring doorbell was everything to me. So on the Monday morning, because he usually goes to nursery in the morning, he took him to nursery and I watched on the doorbell because he didn't know that I was watching all this time. I watched them go to nursery and I watched them come back on Monday evening. And then on the Tuesday morning, I said, Mum, they're going to nursery and then he's going to go to work. What I'm going to do is we're going to go to his nursery and pick him up. My mum's, you know what, Mummy? Thank you. My mum drove me to his nursery in the area. I picked up my child and I came back to London. So when he went to go and pick up our son, the nursery said his mother has collected him, and he went mad. Because not only was he trying to take away the house, he was also trying to use a case to take the child away from me as well. But I'm smart, with all due respect, come on. I'm much smarter. And eventually the ancestors are giving me all types of wisdom. And I'm like, think, get your child. So I stayed for a week at my mum's. And a friend of mine actually said to me, because I was like, you know what, this is it. Let him have the house. Let him have it. I'm done. And my friend was like, you're a coward. He's a male friend, so yeah, he can be a bit harsh on me. He was like, you are letting him win. And I hate that for you. After everything you've put into this house, you need to go to that house and you need to claim what is yours. I was like, he's there. He's almost taken me out. How the hell am I going to do that? So here came another plan. I watched him. I actually drove back to the area and I booked a night stay at this very beautiful, it's like a retreat place in the countryside. Beautiful. I need to book there again. And at the time I knew he was going to work, I watched the Ring doorbell again. And when I saw him leave, I said, bingo. I took my son to nursery that day as normal. I then went to the house. You guys, I was so scared. I was shaking. And I called Very Sure and I said, please come immediately. I called a locksmith. I said, change all the locks, put cameras everywhere. And so they did that. And you know what's interesting? The Very Sure consultant that came to do that for me, because Very Sure will come immediately to put in security. I didn't have security like that all over the house like that. All I had was the Ring doorbell, but they put in everything else. And so this woman, she said, you are doing the right thing. You are doing this for women everywhere. I swear. She was like, I have been through this. She was Polish. And she said, my ex-husband, he tried to take me out. I left a glamorous life living with him in Saudi Arabia. We were wealthy and he used to abuse me. I left everything and I came to the UK with my son, and I'm now working this 9-to-5 job. What you're doing for women is incredible. You have no idea. You're so scared, but I swear you're gonna get through this. That woman, that Polish woman, what was her name? Was her name Marilla? I can't remember, but she gave me life. That was the consultant that put together the security systems. And so that evening, y'all know I'm dramatic. But I can't make this up. I just can't, you guys. That evening, I was so scared. I remember calling a sister from church and I said, sis, this is what is happening. And if this guy comes home berserk, wanting to tear my head off, please just be my backup, okay? And she said, okay, no problem. So he tried to get in on the front door and a side door, and he couldn't get access. And I said from the window, it's over now. You can never get in this house again. He had no idea that I was in the house because I even had parked my car somewhere so he wouldn't see that anyone was in the house. Their ancestors gave me wisdom, okay? I said, it's over now. You can't get in this house. I'm calling the police. I said, you do that. And in fact, they gave me instruction to call the police as well. So 2 sets of police officers came. One from him and one from me. And so when I shared all the details of what had happened, because when I was assaulted by him and the Ring doorbell revealed that, the court immediately gave me a non-molestation order. So if you're wondering why I'm so brazen to speak about this now, it's actually legally backed. I can actually talk about this because I received a non-molestation order from the court, including loads of evidence to support me. A non-molestation order, for those who are overseas, is a restraining order. And so therefore, with that immediate placement in the whole of this case, it somewhat protects me. But at the end of the day, nothing stops him from licking down the door and doing what he has to do if he wanted to. So calling the police again to manage the situation was a very wise move from my part. So when the police looked at it, they basically said, from this evidence, you can't stay here tonight, buddy. Don't care where you go tonight, lav. You got to go and stay somewhere else. You can't stay in the house with the child and the mother. No. From that day, I was able to stay in my house that I bought with my money until the house got sold. I appreciate that this was a very long one and it's a lot to take. There's a lot of trigger in this. I'm not scared anymore. I remember being so frightened, so frightened that he was going to do something or he's going to find a way to get me. I mean, he couldn't get me physically anymore. And perhaps it's a bit toned down when it comes to the mental and emotional abuse. And also the financial abuse also stops now pretty much, isn't it? But what about the spiritual stuff? Because that was the next chapter. If I can't break her down this way, perhaps I'll get her spiritually. And you guys, that's a story for another day. It's been a long one. It's a lot to digest. But this is the end of part 4. What's to come next? God guide me. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm sorry if this triggered anyone. For any women who is in this situation, please don't keep this to yourself. Tell a friend, tell your mother, tell your sister, tell anybody. Call the police. Get your lawyers involved. Save yourself, I'm begging you. I got away. Zandile didn't. Barbara Tomei didn't. Even she tried. There are women everywhere who are facing this shit. And it's enough. It's enough. And so, my loves, it's a lot. I need to go and pour myself a glass of water. Thank you for watching. You'll see me soon.